the state of Florida, the requirement for the service disconnecting means to be located outside is indeed affirmative. This stems from specific interpretations and amendments to the National Electrical Code, or NEC, adopted by the state. The purpose behind this requirement is primarily to enhance safety and accessibility for first responders, such as firefighters or emergency personnel who might need to quickly de-energize a building's electrical system in the event of a fire or other emergency. The location of the service disconnect outside allows for a swift and safe means of cutting off power without having to enter the building, potentially navigating hazardous conditions. Several factors contribute to this requirement's importance. Firstly, it improves emergency response times. When a fire breaks out, seconds count. Having the service disconnect readily accessible outside the building minimizes the time it takes to cut off the electrical supply, reducing the risk of electrical hazards to firefighters and building occupants. Secondly, it enhances firefighter safety. Electrical hazards can pose a significant risk to firefighters battling a blaze. By locating the service disconnect outside, firefighters can quickly de-energize the building's electrical system, reducing the risk of electrocution and other electrical injuries. Thirdly, it facilitates easier maintenance and repairs. Having the service disconnect located outside simplifies maintenance and repair work on the electrical system. Electricians can easily access the disconnect to de-energize the system before performing any work, reducing the risk of electrical shock and ensuring a safer working environment. The specific requirements for the location of the service disconnecting means are typically detailed in the Florida Building Code, which incorporates and amends the NEC. These amendments may include stipulations regarding the height, accessibility, and weather protection of the disconnect. In most jurisdictions adopting the NEC, the service disconnecting means must be readily accessible. Readily accessible generally means that the disconnect must be located so that it can be reached quickly without climbing over obstacles or using tools. The height of the disconnect is also regulated, typically requiring it to be installed at a height that is convenient for operation and inspection, usually between 4 feet and 6 feet above ground level. Weather protection is another critical consideration. The service disconnect must be housed in a weather-tight enclosure to protect it from the elements such as rain, snow, and ice. This ensures that the disconnect remains functional and safe even in harsh weather conditions. Compliance with these requirements is typically enforced through inspections conducted by local building officials or electrical inspectors. These inspections ensure that the electrical installation meets the minimum safety standards outlined in the Florida Building Code and the NEC. Failure to comply with these requirements can result in fines, penalties, and even the rejection of the electrical installation. From a technical standpoint, the service disconnecting means typically consists of a fused or non-fused disconnect switch or circuit breaker. This device is used to manually disconnect the building's electrical system from the utility power supply. The size and type of disconnect required depends on the size of the electrical service in the building's electrical load. The NEC provides detailed guidelines for selecting the appropriate disconnect size and type based on these factors. The installation of the service disconnecting means must be performed by a qualified and licensed electrician. This ensures that the installation is done safely and in accordance with all applicable codes and regulations. A proper installation can result in electrical hazards such as shocks, fires, and equipment damage. The electrician must also ensure that the disconnect is properly grounded and bonded to prevent electrical shock hazards. The grounding and bonding system provides a low impedance path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping the circuit breaker or fuse and de-energizing the circuit. In addition to the location and accessibility requirements, the Florida Building Code may also include requirements for the labeling and identification of the service disconnecting means. This helps to ensure that the disconnect can be easily identified in an emergency. The labeling typically includes information such as the voltage and amperage rating of the disconnect, as well as the area or equipment that it serves. It is also important to note that the requirements for the service disconnecting means may vary depending on the type of building and the occupancy. For example, the requirements for a residential building may be different from those for a commercial or industrial building. This is because different types of buildings have different electrical loads and different safety considerations. The NEC provides specific guidelines for different types of buildings and occupancies. Understanding the specific requirements for the service disconnecting means is essential for ensuring the safety of buildings and occupants. By complying with these requirements, building owners and electricians can help to prevent electrical hazards and ensure that the electrical system is safe and reliable. Furthermore, ongoing maintenance and inspection of the service disconnecting means are crucial for ensuring its continued functionality and safety. Regular inspections can help to identify potential problems such as corrosion, loose connections, and damaged components. Addressing these problems promptly can prevent more serious issues from developing and ensure that the disconnect remains in good working order. In summary, the state of Florida mandates that the service disconnecting means be located outside to enhance safety and accessibility for first responders and to facilitate easier maintenance and repairs. These requirements are detailed in the Florida Building Code, which incorporates and amends the NEC, specifying accessibility, height, weather protection, and labeling standards. Compliance is enforced through inspections, and proper installation must be performed by a licensed electrician. Regular maintenance and inspections are essential to ensure the continued functionality and safety of the service disconnecting means. For more detailed information, consult the latest edition of the Florida Building Code and the NEC, as well as local building officials and electrical inspectors. They can provide specific guidance on the requirements for the service disconnecting means in your area.